Hello, everybody, and welcome to a little update video. Of course, every time I do an update, I play Grid. It's just what I do, I guess. It's easy for me to talk while I'm able to just drive around on a track. So let me just get my time up so I know how much I have. I just finished Guardians of the Galaxy. If you haven't watched that, please go and do so. We finished Walking Dead last night as well, so we also have that finished. And I basically kind of want to make a bit of an update video because I want to talk about what's going to be really kind of coming up on the channel for the next several months. And in all honesty, what is going to be going on in terms of content over, really between now and August. So let me start out by talking about a lot of the newer games that we're going to see on the channel. We're going to be playing Rise of the Ronin starting tomorrow on Tuesday. What is tomorrow? The 26th of March. So I'm going to start playing Rise of the Ronin, and I'm hoping that I can do a playthrough of that. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be a game that I want to do a playthrough of or not. But I really am kind of hoping that it will be a game that ends up being a full series. Mostly because I have been looking for a game that scratches the Ghost of Tsushima itch, and this game really kind of gives off that vibe. It really does have that kind of like Assassin's Creed-ish type of feel with like Soulsy type of shit, but there is difficulty modes, so it shouldn't be enormously frustrating. I've done a little bit of research into Rise of the Ronin in terms of the structure of the game. There is a lot of collectibles, and I do want to kind of stress by saying that I don't necessarily think that the Rise of the Ronin playthrough will be a full playthrough where we do every single mission and collect everything, because there is a ton of collectibles, and the way the mission structure works is a little different in the game. And I just don't necessarily know if it's going to be something that we do like this big, huge, long playthrough of. It might be one of those I just kind of do as much as I want to do and play through the game, and that's really about that. Um, so I don't want to say that, I don't want to say prepare for something that's going to be a super long playthrough. Really just kind of depends on how much we do in terms of side questing and stuff like that. But in terms of getting a lot of collectibles and exploring and stuff, there's not going to probably be a whole lot of that going on. It'll more than likely end up being, yeah. It may end up being a lot of just kind of like doing side missions, what we come across, and doing like main quest stuff. So I'm not really too sure if it's going to be a very long playthrough, like in terms of 20 plus odd videos. Um, but it will be a playthrough nonetheless if it is something that I end up liking. Um, Now, with that being said, we also, in terms of new games coming up, have Stellar Blade, which will, I guarantee it, be a full playthrough. I really have been wanting to get at the get back to like the crazy hack and slash genre stuff. And we are going to be having some more of that coming up later this year. We are going to be playing the first Bayonetta and we're also going to be playing Vanquish. Both Platinum games. I'm going to be playing the remastered version of those. Um, and I haven't bought them yet, but I will be buying them sometime later. And those will probably come later down the line this year, hopefully. Uh, but I have been itching to play them just because I've been kind of in between watching playthroughs of like Metal Gear Rising, which, uh, you know, I'm really hoping that if there's ever a Metal Gear Solid Collection 2, that game is included, because Metal Gear Rising is one of those games that I cannot play on the channel because it's blocked from streaming. And I've wanted to play it for a long time, just like Bioshock. But we're going to talk about Xbox 360 stuff here in a little bit. Another game that's going to be coming up in June is System Shock, and we are going to be playing System Shock on the channel. It will be a full playthrough. I haven't played that game in a long time, and now that's finally coming to consoles, I do want to actually play the game. As somebody who really likes first-person shooters and actually really liked System Shock, um, I hope that the game is as good as I remember it being from when I was a kid. I played it on PC when I was a kid, and it was a game that I really actually was fond of just because of its setting, because of just how the game played. It was just kind of different. So we are going to be playing System Shock, although we will not be playing it at launch like we are playing with Stellar Blade. We will be playing Stellar Blade at launch. I have the deluxe edition of that game pre-ordered, and we'll be playing that for sure at launch, and we'll be doing like a full playthrough of that, trying to get as much as we can out of that game. However, I do want to talk a little bit about June and July. Um, so outside of June, where we have System Shock, we also have Still Wakes the Deep, which is going to be coming out in June. Um, I do want to talk a little bit about what else we're going to be seeing on the channel later on this year, but as well as what we're specifically going to be doing in June and July. In June and July, we're going to be doing what I'm calling the Summer of 360. And the Summer of 360 is going to be 8 Xbox 360 games that I have basically curated. I was originally going to do more, and I was originally going to do it through August. But some of these games are not. There's either games that are not backwards compatible or they are not playable. For example, the original Bioshock trilogy, the 360 versions, are not playable, just like the remastered versions aren't. Bioshock is not playable, is not streamable through the system at all. And until I can get a PC and stream through my PC, there will never be a Bioshock playthrough, which really is upsetting to me because it's one of my favorite trilogies ever made. It's one of the games that I, played early on in the 360 days, and I loved every game that came out of it, regardless of what people felt about it. And it's still to this day one of those games that like once a year I basically kind of like go back through and play BioShock. I don't really play BioShock 2 as much, but I will go back and play BioShock and BioShock Infinite. Usually like once a year. I'll just sit down and I'll play it because I can. And so BioShock, the BioShock trilogy, Metal Gear Rising, those are not going to be streamed. Just like The Darkness and The Darkness 2. I don't know about The Darkness 2, but I know The Darkness can't be streamed. And if I can't stream the first Darkness, I'm not going to stream the second one. Which is a real shame because The Darkness was actually the first Xbox 360 game I ever played. The second being Dead Rising. And so it's quite the shame that I can't play The Darkness. Again, I will have to try to see if I can play that on PC in the future. Because if so, then we can probably play The Darkness too. With that being said, I do actually want to talk about the games that we are going to be seeing. Now, note that I am breaking out an Xbox One X for this, not an Xbox Series X, because I have actually found that there are games that are streamable on Xbox One that are not streamable on Xbox Series X. One of those games is Dante's Inferno. Dante's Inferno is somehow not streamable on the Series X. I've tried to stream it before, and it will not stream on the Series X. However, it is streamable on the Xbox One. I've checked. I've done a test on it. It does work on the Xbox One. So I am actually going to be breaking out one of my Xbox One X's. I have a few, actually. And we're going to be playing all of these games on the One X. Now, note that every time I try to stream on Xbox, the footage always never looks good because there's always some kind of a quality issue with streaming through Twitch on Xbox. And I don't know why. I've never been able to get an answer on the reason being that the quality is always not that great. but I really want to record them because regardless of the quality, I do want the games to be on the channel because they're either a part of a series or they are just games that I have never gotten around to playing that I absolutely want to play. So I actually want to go through the list and talk about all the games that we're going to be playing as part of the Summer of 360. The first of which is Alan Wake American Nightmare. We've played Alan Wake Remastered. We played Alan Wake 2 last year, just at the end of last year. And I really wanted to play American Nightmare, but I never got around to doing it because it's an Xbox 360, technically an Xbox 360 arcade game. It's not that big, it's not that long, but it is good, and it is a little different than Alan Wake, and it's actually, different than Alan Wake 2 as well. It's kind of its own entity. But it's a small game that does take place in the universe of Alan Wake and is kind of sort of canon in a way. But I absolutely wanted to play that game because I feel that it's necessary to having all three Alan Wake games on the channel. I feel like if I didn't play American Nightmare, it would kind of be an injustice to the Alan Wake series, because I felt like Alan Wake American Nightmare, while in the in Alan Wake 2 we did talk about some of the story stuff related to American Nightmare, and so I kind of want to go back and play some of that. The second game is Alice Madness Returns. Now, Alice Madness Returns is another one of these games that when I first played it, I was very surprised with how much I liked it. And it was one of those games that, like third-person hack and slash games that have like platforming and puzzle solving and stuff that we had a lot of back in the 360 era, was a game that I absolutely to this day still feel is like one of the greatest like games to come out of EA at that time period. It's of course made by American McGee, who unfortunately never ended up making a sequel to Madness Returns. We originally were actually getting one. It never ended up happening because EA just they wouldn't let him make it without the EA license, and he just couldn't get the Alice name away from EA, and so it's unfortunately a shame, but nonetheless, we are going to be playing Madness Returns. We're not going to be playing the original Alice. The original Alice is kind of rough. Even the 360 version is really rough, and I really don't want to see if that's backwards compatible. But I do absolutely want to play Madness Returns just because I feel that the game is such a modern classic. It is such a fun title that has a lot of variety to it in terms of level design, in terms of enemy design. It's just a really cool game, and there's all these great weapons. It of course takes place within the Alice in Wonderland universe, but in a dark, twisted sense. It's just American McGee's twist, and it really is just such a fun action hack and slash platformer that I haven't played in many, many years, and I really am looking forward to going back and playing. It's just got a lot of interesting characters. The story is just really, really good. It does take place after the original Alice, but we'll talk about the original story of Alice when we play Madness Returns. And to kind of give you a buffer of what we're kind of getting into. But Alice Madness Returns is going to be the second of those titles that we're going to be streaming. The third is, of course, Dante's Inferno, which I mentioned. Dante's Inferno is a God of War-like... well, let's just put this in preference. The original God of War trilogy. It's like the original God of War games in the sense that it's kind of a God of War clone. It's a hack and slash God of War clone that takes place in Hell. It's based on Dante's Divine Comedy. It was a video game that came out in 2009 on Valentine's Day, and I actually got the game on release. And it was just one of those games that, like, when I played it, it kind of blew my mind because it's an uber violent uh, it's an uber violent hack and slash. Another game again by EA, but it's an uber violent hack and slash with a lot of suggestive themes, traversing through hell to get your wife back from the devil. It's if you've never played it, it sounds insane, and it really is. It's just one of those games that I feel like has so much uniqueness to it, like Madness Returns does, in the sense that it has a lot of enemy variety, a lot of level design variety. It has a lot of varied gameplay. There's actually some tower defense type shit that was kind of in the game, and a lot of like Devil May Cry esque type of stuff, like climbing the tower nonsense. There's some parts of that game that are very, very difficult. Not gonna lie, and it's probably going to be a bit of a frustration. And I haven't played it in many years, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a game that just has a very phenomenal story, and it's just super violent. And I can't say enough good things about Dante's Inferno. It's probably still like one of those God of War clones that is like my favorite, to be honest. So yeah. The next game that we have is Enslaved. Enslaved Journey to the West is an action adventure platformer that is based on the Journey to the West Chinese mythos, which, of course, if you know, what is it called? The Black, what is that Chinese game coming out? It's like Wukong or whatever. That game is another one of those games that's based on the Journey to the West sub-mythos, the Monkey King type of mythos, which is one of those mythos that I actually have a soft spot for, especially in recent years. We've seen so much more of that kind of be incorporated. Like Beyond Good and Evil had touches of that, and is it Wukong? I think it might be Wukong. I can't remember what the title is. It's the Dark Souls-esque game that's coming out in probably like 17 years, because it's just takes a lot of development time for a game on that scale. But nonetheless, it is a game that is a Journey to the West, an Odyssey, a Journey to the West kind of game based in a futuristic world, and it's an action platformer that I remember playing probably at the end of the 360 era, kind of wondering like what is this game, and a lot of people were talking about it online. It was really recommended people like check it out, and so I played it, and I actually really liked it. And it was a game that I never got to play on the Xbox One back when I was streaming on the Xbox One. It just never got around to it. And so I kind of thought, you know what? Hell, let's break it out. Let's do Enslaved. It's a great little action platformer, and I haven't played it in a long time, and I don't really remember the story, so I feel like it's going to be like a brand new game to me again. But regardless of that, I'm very excited for people who haven't seen this game yet to play it. To see it and for me to play it. The next game after that is going to be a little Once Upon a Stream game that we have, which is Hydro Thunder. I was just kind of going through the Xbox 360 games that I owned, and I noticed Hydro Thunder, and I went, you know what? I want to do a video on Hydro Thunder, because I kind of want to talk about why Hydro Thunder is so important to me, because growing up, I played Hydro Thunder in the arcade, and it just shook me to my core. It gave me my love of like waterborne racing games, be it Wave Racer or like wakeboarding. Was it like Sean Murray's wakeboarding? I loved water-based racing games, and Hydro Thunder is one of those games that is just, it's like a 90s. It's the antithesis of the 90s. It's like extreme everything, and it's so fun. And the arcade, the Hydro Thunder for 360, it's just such a fun little arcade game. And it's not like we're going to be doing a playthrough or anything. It's a racing game. I do want to do like a bit of an, like maybe like 35 minutes to an hour, once upon a stream, kind of talking about why Hydro Thunder was important to my childhood, why I feel like we need a new Hydro Thunder game. Um, and yeah, so I definitely want to check that out and kind of put that on the channel as well as like a little once upon a stream. So that's going to be the only once upon a stream game that's gonna be in uh, our lineup. Next is Syndicate. Again, another EA title. Syndicate is a first person shooter that I don't really remember much about. I know that it's set in the future, and I know there's like all these different casts of characters. But it's a first-person futuristic shooter, and I remember playing it once. I have played the game one time. I'm not even kidding. I played it one time. I could not tell you what the fuck the game is about anymore, but I saw it on my list, and I went, oh yeah, I remember this game, and I'm like, we're going to play this as well. So Syndicate is absolutely on that list. We're going to be playing that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So the last two titles. These are the big boys. These are the titles that I am the most excited about because of a numerous amount of reasons. We're going to talk about the first one, which is Condemned. Condemned Criminal Origins is probably one of the roughest games on the 360 at this point, and I am expecting that game to be just broken when we stream it. However, I want to stress that Condemned is one of my favorite games ever made. Because when I played this game for the first time back on the 360, it was a game that I just did not expect. The idea of a serial killer that kills serial killers and the first person detective gameplay investigating crime scenes was very new. It was very different, and it is not just a detective first person shooter. It is a survival horror game. It really does have these survival horror elements, and it is a scary game. By no means is it scary really anymore, but back when I played it, that game scared the shit out of me. There is some really scary shit in that game. And I would consider that game to be a horror game by a long margin. Now, I normally wouldn't have picked Condemned specifically because Condemned 2 is not backwards compatible with the Xbox One. Which is a shame because Condemned 2 has one of the coolest levels, the cabin level where you run away from the bear. That is one of the coolest levels I've ever played in a game. And I really wish that we could play both games, but Condemned nonetheless is a game that I feel deserves to be played. It is a it has a unique art style to it that was kind of like what Black had, which was that it kind of had a hyper realism to a certain extent about it, and it's just gross and grimy and just it's just gross. I mean, it's a game that just has like a grossness to it. And I just feel like it needs to be played on the channel, and I never got around to doing it, but it's a game that I feel is going to be kind of like one of the main events. It's kind of the main event before the main event because there is a main event to this. There is one game that we are going to be playing during this that is going to be the start of a new series. It is the start of a brand new franchise that has not been on the channel, and for years I have talked about doing it. And also for years, I have wondered how I'm going to stream these games on my channel. And that is Assassin's Creed. Now, notably, Assassin's Creed, god damn it. You know what? I'm just going to start over. Fuck it. Notably, Assassin's Creed was rumored to had been remade or remastered, and this was not the case. Ubisoft struck this down, and it was kind of a shame because the anniversary came, and quite honestly, they should have remastered, Assassin's Creed for the next gen consoles, and the reason being is because of the remasters they did for all of the Ezio trilogy, for 3, for Rogue, they brought all of those games forward to the new systems, but Assassin's Creed is the one game that has not been brought forward to the new systems. And I feel like it's a shame because Assassin's Creed was the start of what is perhaps one of the biggest franchises to this day. And I feel deserves to actually be remastered or remade for that matter, uh, and brought to life again. Because the game originally is quite rough. There is a lot about it that's not that good, but it is the start of a story that I feel a lot of people may not remember where this story started with Desmond, with, you know, a small cast of characters that, we don't really see today because Assassin's Creed has become so big and it's kind of unrecognizable on where it came from. Mirage kind of brought us back to that original era, but and I liked Mirage, but honestly, it is a game that I feel needs to be on the channel because if I'm ever going to play the Assassin's Creed series, I need to start somewhere. And that start, well, it's going to have to be with the original game. It's where the story begins. And so I feel like I can't just do the Ezio trilogy. I can't just start from the non-starting point. Um, and I waited and waited to see if this game was going to be remade or remastered, and it's just not going to be. And so, now we're going to go back, and this is going to be the main event. We're going to stream all the other games before Assassin's Creed. With Assassin's Creed, there are a lot of collectibles. There's flags, there's the Templars. We're not going to be going around and collecting all that. We're just going to be playing through the story because the game is very rough, and it's a very old game. Just like with a lot of the games on this list, it is very old. We're talking I think Assassin's Creed came out in 2007 or 2006. It was really only a year or two after the 360 came out, Condemned. It's a very old game, and it's not going to, play all that well. It's clunky. It's just rough around the edges. But its story is important for the context of doing the Assassin's Creed franchise. Now, I also want to say that in terms of the Assassin's Creed franchise, it's not like we're going to be playing a new one of those every, couple of months or whatever. They are going to be stretched out over a long period of time because they are big games, and I still have to figure out how I want to stream every game on the channel. Do I want to go through and do all the side quests? Do we want to just do side quests as they come about? Do we want to, spend time going through and, getting a lot of the, bases and stuff? What's the word I'm looking for? Turning the bases over to me. Getting all of the bases turned from enemy to friend. Do we want to do stuff like that? I'm not really sure. To be honest, as the Assassin's Creed games have gone on in the years, they just keep getting bigger and bigger. So I feel like, in all honesty, up until probably Black Flag, it's going to be easy to do a lot of those Assassin's Creed games. But once we hit Black Flag, it gets a little bit more complicated because games like Black Flag and Rogue and Unity and Syndicate, they're all games that get much larger and they get more complex. And when we look at the kind of, I guess you call it third era of Assassin's Creed, from Origins to Odyssey to Valhalla, they are massive open world games that take hundreds of hours to complete. I mean, I sunk probably 180 hours into Valhalla, and I just got so sick of it because I just couldn't collect everything. And so I feel like I need to kind of have a concept of where we're going to go, and it's probably going to be me feeling it out over a period of time. Where when we get into a game, I'm going to have to go, okay, when I'm not streaming this, maybe I will spend time going around and capturing some of these bases and turning him over to be my friend. And then when we come back, we'll have a lot of that stuff done. But at the same time, what about getting outfits and stuff like that? It may not necessarily be that important. And to be honest, we are going to be playing all of these games on the PlayStation. All of the Assassin's Creed games, when I played them, were all played on the Xbox. I don't own all of the premium costumes, all the the microtransaction costumes on the PlayStation, like I do for a lot of the games on Xbox. However, I do own all but Mirage on the PlayStation at this point. I have curated every Assassin's Creed game on the PlayStation and made sure that I own them all so that I am able to actually play through them. Now, I don't know if any of these games will have block scenes. I have no idea. It's going to be a mystery to me if any of them do. But there are going to be some games, like Syndicate, for example, and 3, that I'm really excited to play again because I haven't played them since I first played them. I haven't gone back and played a lot of these games in many, many years. And so, I spent, all this time on them originally. And, once you spend so much time on them, you kind of want to get away from them. So I never played them on PlayStation. So all the trophies are going to get unlocked during the streams. They're all going to be fresh playthroughs on the streams, because they're all going to be on PlayStation. But we are going to have to start with Assassin's Creed. And that's going to be like the main event. And that game will be played probably closer to the end of August, where we'll probably start that up because that will be the longest, playthrough for all of the games that are going to be there. I'm going to try to play 4 games in June and 4 games in July. So basically, I want to try to do 1 game a week. Obviously, Hydro Thunder is 1 playthrough, so it's not like that's going to be something that we see multiple videos of. But all the other ones, we will. I definitely want to try to see if we start with the shortest stuff first and move into the longer stuff, so we can get some of those out of the way quicker to move into August, where Assassin's Creed will more than likely come into play. We'll probably start playing at the end of July, and we'll probably start moving that into August, where the Summer of 360 will essentially unwind with Assassin's Creed. Now, in lieu of what comes after that, I can't really tell you. We haven't had too much of the Summer Games Fest stuff, really. We're still in March. We don't really have news about what is necessarily going to be hitting at the end of the year. I have a lot of games written down that I do want to buy in the future, that I've curated a huge list of games that I do want to buy. But I can tell you some of the games that I'm going to try to put this year to bed, which is a lot of pre-existing series. So Gears 5, for example, I really want to hopefully get that done. And The Evil Within 2, we may or may not end up playing. I know I did The Evil Within 1, and it was a hate through because I absolutely despise that game. However, I do want to try to do an Evil Within 2 playthrough in the future, maybe if I really feel like it. I don't know yet. But that is really kind of like 2 of the things that, Evil Within 2 we might do on PlayStation instead of Xbox, but Gears we do have to do on Xbox. And outside of that, there won't be any other games being streamed currently on Xbox. All of it's going to get streamed on PlayStation because that is what looks best. That's what is easiest for me. And so, yeah. Outside of that, games like Alone in the Dark are on the docket to be played later this year. The only reason I haven't started that is because we're still playing The Sinking City. And I don't want 2 Lovecraftian games on the channel at once because I just feel like I won't be able to keep up with both of them. We also have some indie games like Bramble, The Mountain King, and Close to the Sun that I want to play sometime this year because they're a lot shorter and things I can kind of just knock out. And games like Crysis 3, I want to finally get that game done as well because we started it back on the Xbox, and there was problems with it, so I never played it. But I did buy the trilogy on PlayStation, and we are going to play Crysis 3 on PS5, so we can think about doing that. We also have games like Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, part of the Dishonored series, of course, that I haven't finished. Dark Pictures, The Devil in Me, which is the last in the Dark Pictures anthology. And then, of course, Far Cry New Dawn and Far Cry 6. Now, Far Cry 6, I'm not too sure how I want to go about playing that game. But New Dawn will be something that I may or may not do later this year. Just depends. It is the Far Cry anniversary this year. There's the big anniversary this year for Far Cry. I have a feeling we'll probably see 7 announced. I wouldn't be surprised. But 6 was just not good. 6 was not a good game. There were elements about it that were good, but a lot of the game is just not good in general. And we also have like GTA Vice City and San Andreas. I know we did 3 on the channel, but Grand Theft Auto 4 is also not streamable. That was one of the games that was one of the first games that I checked when I was going to think about doing Summer 360. Was doing a playthrough of GTA 4 as well, because I wanted to be able to do GTA 5 eventually, at least, just like the story of GTA 5. And I probably will still do GTA 5. I don't know if the main story of that is streamable. I have no idea. I'll have to check. Or if it has block cutscenes or anything like that. I have no idea. However, GTA 4 will never end up on the channel because even though you can actually stream it, there is no audio. That is like the caveat to being able to stream GTA 4 is that there is no audio for the game whatsoever. So you can't hear anything. So there's no point to streaming it, which is a shame because GTA 4 is probably my favorite Grand Theft Auto. So I don't know when we'll do Vice City or San Andreas. They're just kind of there in the meantime. But, a lot of these like interactive storytelling games like the Life is Strange series and stuff, I'm taking a break now from interactive storytelling stuff because we just did The Walking Dead. We did basically 5 Walking Dead games. And I'm kind of tired of playing games like that at this point, so we're probably not going to play any for a while. But games like Mass Effect Andromeda, maybe Space Marine 2, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, that's definitely going to get streamed this year. And also, now that they've actually announced a sequel to Tales of Iron, I want to go and play Tales of Iron as well on the channel, because I love that little game, and I was freaking out when I saw they announced a sequel. Of course, Doug Cockle, the voice of Geralt in the Witcher games, is the narrator in that game, and it's just a phenomenal game. And so I want to play that. And of course, I feel like I have to address the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is Final Fantasy. Now, I did find out that there is no, according to what I've read, there is no blocked scenes in Final Fantasy Rebirth. However, I wouldn't be surprised if that may not be true because I guarantee I could tell you what the ending of Rebirth is going to be. It's probably going to be the death of Aerith. Because, of course, that's where they would more than likely leave the game off. Given that since they're doing like a trilogy of this, that would be probably where they would leave the game off, is probably around the death of Aerith, which makes me believe that might be a block scene. However, I don't know. With the amount of block scenes there was in the original game, and the fact that I had to go back and re-record the ending, but then also play the DLC, and the DLC ending was block scene, I just really didn't want to play it until I knew for sure there was no block scenes in this. And according to what I've read, there isn't. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is on the table to being streamed, but I'm not going to stream it for a while. I'm probably not going to stream it even this year. I'm not going to lie. It might not even get streamed this year. I want to play it for sure. I definitely want to continue that journey. However, I just don't know if I have it in me right now to want to go back to a game of that size. And I know that that game is humongous. I know there's a ton of mini games in there as well. There's a lot of annoying shit that people have talked about. I really just don't know if that's something that I want to do this year or not. But I do want to say that we will eventually come back to it. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about, speaking of coming back to things, is we're going to be coming back to two games in, well, probably one game in April we're coming back to. We're going to probably come back to the other one later on. But the first game that we're actually going to be coming back to, and it's going to be in April, is Dead Island. We're going to be coming back to Dead Island 2 to play the DLC. It's kind of funny and a coincidence because I watch a lot of streams on YouTube, and while I watch these streams, I will usually play something kind of mindless. Games like this, for example. I could just kind of play and not have to, worry about what's going on. I don't have to care about the story or anything. And, since we finished Dead Island 2, I felt that I could just kind of play Dead Island 2 without paying attention to it because I didn't need to, because I've already seen all the story originally. And so, the house expansion came out not too long ago, and I was waiting for the concert one, which I think is called Sola or whatever. And I had started playing Dead Island 2 just like last week. And in the middle of me, like probably the day after I started playing Dead Island 2 on my Xbox, like a new playthrough from the beginning, they announced the second expansion for Dead Island 2 is coming out on like April 17th or somewhere around there. So I did say in that playthrough that we would come back to the expansions, and that's the plan. So we're going to, come back to the save file on the expansions, and we will be playing through the house expansion, which I have actually played through a little bit of. I've actually played through like the first. Once you start it, you can't stop until a certain point. So I have played through like the first part of that expansion, and it's really cool. Like the story is really cool. So we're definitely going to be playing through both of the expansions for Dead Island. We'll come back to those and play those in April, along with like Stellar Blade. And the second game that we're going to come back to, which of course the DLC for this also drops next month, is Final Fantasy 16. I, however, don't know when we're going to come back to Final Fantasy 16. I really do want to play through those. I don't know if if I could just go back into my game from like the ending or whatever and then maybe play through them. I have no idea how it works. I haven't even bought the first DLC yet. But I do want to come back and I do want to play through the expansions of FF16 because that was my game of the year last year. And I really enjoyed that game more than I believed I would. And so the DLCs for that, I definitely want to come back and play somewhere in the future. I know that it'll be sometime this year. I just don't know when. Obviously, like with how my stream schedule is, I am not able to stream every day. I've been trying to stream at night as well. It's kind of difficult because at night it actually gets hotter in my game room and my stream room than it does during the day. So it's kind of harder to stream at night. I'm also more tired at night as well. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to stream more in terms of the consistency of trying to see if we can do every day. I just don't know if it's going to be an everyday occurrence. But I want you to know that I appreciate all the support. The channel has grown a little bit since Last year we've seen the rise of, over 40 new subscribers. I know I'm only sitting at like 100 and like 13 or so, and I know that, I don't get that many views on the video, but there's some videos that just pop off in terms of views. And it's really still just a matter of growth. I really appreciate all the support that I get on Twitch. I support I am happy for the support on YouTube. It's really, it's been 7 years and I'm still just starting out in terms of getting this really going. But in reality, of course, I don't do this shit for money, and I'm hoping that I can make it on Twitch to being an affiliate at some point, because I want to be able to have people who are subscribed. And I feel like if we can reach affiliate on Twitch, then in all honesty, I feel that I will get a bunch of emotes made. I will get, I'll get subscriptions and stuff. We'll make it so that people can tip if they want to, and I will say that everything is completely optional. You do not have to do that, because I don't do any of this for money. I really don't. And it is something that I want to do because I'm passionate about bringing storytelling to people. So I don't want people to think that it's about the monetary gain, because it's not. And if we get to the point where I can monetize the streams, then that's, something that I will do, and it will be at anyone's discretion to tip if they want to, and to give bits, and to do all that stuff. And I'll set all that stuff when the time comes, but we have to get there first. And I just want people to be able to enjoy good storytelling, which is why that's what we stream on my channel. We always stream story games, because those are the games that I want people to be able to enjoy. I feel there's too many streamers out there that just play, multiplayer titles, or they just play GTA Online, or they play Among Us, or they play Fortnite, and there's not enough people that are, playing story-driven games and doing full playthroughs of them to really showcase why storytelling and why single-player games are still so important in the gaming ecosphere. So that's really about it. I know that I'm kind of running this at about an hour. We're about 47 minutes in, but in all honesty, there's just a lot to get through, and I want people to understand really kind of what's coming up on the channel. So that's really going to be, I can say for certain, that's pretty much what the issue, like the situation is going to be until about the end of August. Once we hit the end of August, things may change. We'll have new games coming out. Really just depends on what I buy, what I don't. We'll see. But yeah, for now, The Sinking City and Rise of the Ronin will be the two games on the channel. And then starting in April, we will have Dead Island 2 again for the expansions, and Stellar Blade. And we'll just, we'll feel it out. And we'll put stuff here and there on the channel. But in all honesty, stay tuned. Especially, I want people to really be excited for the Summer 360, because I want to show off a lot of these 360 games that I never got to play, and we'll be able to finally start the Assassin's Creed series from its very first game ever made. And boy, is it going to be a time. I can guarantee you it's already going to be frustrating. So that's going to do it. Thank you all for watching this and for supporting the channel and how you support it. I really appreciate all the support and all the people that come to the streams. And I'm trying to do better about talking to people on stream. Shout out to my VIP, Sarah. And I hope that all of you enjoy the upcoming content, and if there's anything that you want to see, make sure you check out all the playlists. I have entire franchises done, buddy, from Halo to Uncharted to Tomb Raider, the good ones, to games like Doom, to Wolfenstein, to Resident Evil. We're still working on Resident Evil. Don't worry, we'll get to 0 and 1 and Revelation someday. But I have entire franchises on the channel. I have over 1,500 videos. There's a lot of content. Go check it out. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all on the next one. Take care and goodbye.